Hello, everyone watching the stream, and welcome back into the caster's booth. We are glad that you could join us today. My name is Gerd. I'm joined alongside my fellow co-caster today, Cage. We are here at the Wide League World's Rumble Top 8, and we are going to be seeing some amazing action. There have been so many competitors over this past weekend, and now we're going to be finally seeing the top 8 and seeing who's going to be moving on to the top 4. Cage, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm ready to watch some great Pokemon. We got some Reg D action. Was over 250 players started yesterday, Gerd. We are down to the final 8. This is it. We're getting the best players right now, and we're getting some good teams, honestly. We're looking, and we will be getting Olsson versus PhamatonEvil, as we're going to get it set up and everything. But kind of looking at this team, Gerd, and, from some of the matches I got to see over the weekend, seeing a lot of, common cores that we've seen the early on months, Qianpao, Dragonite, Rillaboom, Heatran, and it seems to just keep me working. I'm looking at Olsson's team specifically, and he's got almost the top 5 Pokemon on Peakalytics right now. Qianpao, Dragonite, Fluttermane, Rillaboom, Heatran, and then Water Urshifu. What are your thoughts on kind of this team and what Olsson's bringing?
I mean, as we all know, the format has been around for just a little over a month now, and we've been seeing this hyper offensive core, Urshifu with Tornadus. You also have the Fire Water Grass core with Rillaboom, Heatran, and Urshifu Water Rapid Strike. It's incredibly good. I mean, there's no way that we can't say it's good. It's been dominating the format, even though other checks and counters such as Amoonguss, Rocky Helmet Pokemon, using such as Indeedee or Amoonguss, like we said, or even Farafarig, which has been doing extremely well too. It's been doing crazy amounts. It's just being able to block all that priority from those Pokemon in that standard core. But I also wanted to shout out, we're going to be seeing a Landorus too and a Goldango. Goldango has been picking up in usage recently. Normally, it was really good in Series 1. It was really strong. Series 2 was pretty good. It kind of fell off a little bit towards the beginning of Series 3/Reg C, and towards the end, it really started picking up those usages. We were talking about this earlier, but the usage of Choice Scarf Trick Goldango, or even just the normal Choice Specs Goldango with Trick, has been incredible. But we're going to be seeing a different type of Goldango where it's leftovers this time.
I really like this leftover set. You're Terra Water, so then you can sit in front of Urshifu a lot better. And one Nasty Plot does so much work. You can, afford to invest some bulk into your special and defensive because you get a Nasty Plot off. You have some form of speed control, which we have here on this team with the we have a Tornadus. We also have Redirection with Indeedee. So you're able to get this Nasty Plot up, and then Goldango just keeps doing work like it's Series 1. I really like that set. I also like the Clear Amulet Landorus that Phantom's rocking. You don't really see that, Gerd. I feel like we see Choice Scarf and Assault Vest have kind of been the main two. But interesting to kind of see if we'll see Phantom use this Landorus as more of a, physical sweeper, since he doesn't want to get his attack lowered. We're seeing, 3 moves and Protect on the team. It's definitely an eye catcher.
Yeah, normally, like you said, with the Assault Vest or another item like a Choice Scarf, it helps Landorus be able to just continue to stay on the field. The problem is that Intimidate doesn't hit through Rapid Strike Urshifu because of the surging strikes, so effectively there's no damage drop. A little unfortunate, that's just how it goes. Clear Amulet is also pretty good. Unfortunately, Arcanine's not really in the meta currently, and opposing Landorus could check other Landorus by having that Intimidate drop, so there's not going to be any Intimidates. Unfortunately, in this particular matchup, there are no Intimidators on Olsson's team, so they're just going to have to deal with the fact that Clear Amulet is a little bit of a wasted slot. I'm trying to look at Olsson's team right now, and it doesn't really look like there are any stat-dropping moves, so effectively, this Landorus doesn't have an item.
No, it really doesn't. And yeah, it'll be interesting too to kind of see if the Landorus is even needed to be used, looking at Olsson's team, right? It doesn't really affect the Urshifu. Dragonite, in front of Qianpao, like the Intimidate, sure, it's going to hurt. Oh, wait, it's Inner Focus. It's not even multi-scale. So that's interesting as well. It can't be flinched, but with Choice Band and Swords of Ruin, like you said, it really feels like the Landorus might not be as huge of a factor into this game. But you could see stuff like Terra Flying, maybe to catch off a Rillaboom, or maybe to snipe off an Urshifu if you get a Tailwind up. I do want to pivot back and kind of keep on Olsson's team real fast because, again, we talked about this before we're getting set up here, but substitute Heatran is something I've been super looking at, and it seems like it just keeps picking up, and I saw it on a few matches this weekend at the Wide League. It just feels so stronger.
Yeah, having that Rillaboom and Heatran core of having leftovers and Grassy Surge healing per turn gives you so much regeneration, especially when you can add on the fact that you also have Protect to just stall at a turn and get even more health so that you can keep resetting up substitutes. Terra Grass has been a phenomenal Terra type for Heatran because it loses all of the weaknesses that it would have had with its Fire and Steel Terra typing. And then it also can check Rapid Strike Urshifu because of that water type, so it's really strong. Olsson's Heatran has Heat Wave and Terra Blast, making it be able to hit both sides of that spectrum. If you need to hit a fire type with super effective damage, good. If you need to hit a grass Pokemon with super effective damage, good. You're going to be so good in this match.
Yeah, and again, I really like how it's kind of pivoted well with some hyper offense in Champale Dragonite, and then a lot of pivot mons, like you have the Rillaboom. You know, you could swap out the Urshifu. You do have Protect. Actually, Protect on a lot of things on Olsson's team, taking a look at it. Definitely an interesting choice, but looks like we're kind of gearing up. Players are getting ready to kind of pick teams. Anything else you're kind of looking for this match, Gerd, you might want to keep an eye out on?
I think it's going to be a big battle for position, especially on turn 0. Balanced teams, you always want to make sure that you have the best lead possible into your opponent. So it's going to be interesting to see how we're going to see in game number 1. We are just about to get started, but I wanted to give a quick shout out to the entire crew at the Wide Lake. They've been doing an incredible job this weekend. There's been a few logistical problems and a little bit of stream tech, but they've been doing so well lately, and we're going to be starting our top 8 now. We're just seeing the top 8 match, Olsson versus PhamatonEvil, and we're going to be seeing the point of view for Olsson. We're going to be seeing that Rillaboom and Urshifu water core versus that Indeedee and Heatran.
Now, this is interesting, right? So Indeedee is slower, so we're going to get the Psychic Terrain up, which means you can't have Fake Out Pressure with Rillaboom. And, I mean, if Phantom wanted, this is a free Follow Me substitute, right? You know, looking at the Indeedee's item here, it is Rocky Helmet. The Urshifu isn't going to want to have to get redirected into that. You know, what is the Rillaboom going to do, right? Because the Heatran could also just click a Heat Wave, and you either have to Terra or, you know, switch out of there as well if you think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, this matchup is super hard for the Urshifu because there are so many checks and counters for PhamatonEvil's lead. You could go Terra Grass Heatran, you could go for Terra Fairy Indeedee. You also have that Rocky Helmet. It's going to be really tough. We are going to be seeing a Terastallization very early on. It's going to be the Rillaboom. This is going to be a Terra Fire to make sure that you do not get hit by this Heatran on PhamatonEvil's side very effectively. It only has Heat Wave and it also has Terra Blast, but we could see an Earth Power there, but you're probably not going to be doing it straight away.
I really like this play right now. Again, just in case the Heatran did decide to click Heat Wave, right? You're going to be able to resist a hit. You're going to be able to stay in there. And we're going to see an immediate Terra from Heatran, too, wanting to go straight into the Terra ground, probably not wanting to risk a stopping tantrum, or, you know, if doesn't Terra, because I am assuming, yep, Rillaboom is faster, but Rillaboom goes for the U-turn, wants to get right back out of there. Doesn't really mind the Rocky Helmet, right, Gerd? It's fine. You're typically pretty bulky, and now when you switch back in, Olsson's gonna have the terrain control, right?
Yep. Only taking 1/6 HP for Rocky Helmet there is not the biggest thing for a Pokemon like Rillaboom to shrug off. We're going to be seeing the Heatran switch in from the back. Rillaboom just going to take a little bit of time out. We're going to see a Terra Blast with the Terra Grass, which has done super effective damage into the water. Urshifu not going to do anything this turn, but the Indeedee is now going to be setting up the Trick Room mode. So now all the slower Pokemon are going to be moving first here. And it looks like this Indeedee and the Heatran on PhamatonEvil's side are going to be moving before this Urshifu.
Wow, I really like that play. So, you know, setting up the Trick Room with the Snipe if you don't protect, right? And if you do, you know, if Urshifu didn't protect and attack, it's going to go into Terra Grass and you're going to get a Terra, you know, a super effective hit into it. Yeah, really forcing Olsson's Urshifu to switch out there. Does not like Psychic Terrain, does not like Rocky Helmet, does not like Grass Terra. In comes the Ape, bring out the Grassy Surge. Now, we see what Olsson did click, and we know, yeah, he did click the Protect here. Wanted to kind of scout out, see what Phantom's going to do.
Oh, this is an incredible read and a safe play from PhamatonEvil, going it with the Earth Power into the Rillaboom slot. Now Psychic from the Indeedee also going to be dealing just a little bit more damage. Still not enough to get the KO, but that's an incredibly smart play from PhamatonEvil. You know you could always go for Earth Power in that slot. If the Rillaboom does switch in, you're going to be doing super effective damage. And plus, you also have the Indeedee using Psychic. So even if the Urshifu did stay in and shrugging off that Earth Power, you're going to be doing super effective damage with the Psychic.
Yeah, I love that. I love that option right there. You really covered everything besides, you know, everything, right? Looking at Olsson's team, and maybe unless if he brought the Dragonite out, it would have been a little bit, but why bring Dragonite into Trick Room? And now all of a sudden, you know, Phantom's able to take a little bit more of an aggressive front, can switch the Indeedee out after that move because it wants terrain. But Olsson did set up the, you know, we have the substitute setup. This is kind of what we were talking about, Gert, now. While it seems like Phantom's kind of taking a little bit of a stronger lead, this Heatran is going to feel pretty comfortable behind there.
Yep, both. Right now, we're going to see Olsson in the substitute. It does have the leftover, so it's going to be getting so much HP over these turns. We do have to point out that Olsson's still a little bit on the back foot. This Rillaboom used to have 200 plus HP. Now it's only at 40. It is in range of getting KO'd by PhamatonEvil's Heatran, so you got to be really careful about that. You don't really want to switch out Rillaboom because you don't want to take free chip on something like an Urshifu while still having Trick Room up, because then Urshifu is still not going to be moving first.
You know what's, and now critically we do see in Trick Room PhamatonEvil's Heatran is faster, or, you know, slower of the two, so faster in this situation. But kind of looking, I'm realizing, what does Olsson's Heatran do to Phantom's Heatran? Right? I guess you click Heat Wave right here, and, you know, you hopefully want to hit the Tornadus. You know, really critical miss right there, but, you know, with Terra Blast and Heat Wave as Olsson's Heatran's moves, you really can't hit this Grass Terra Heatran right now.
Yeah, that's just the trade-off that you're going to have to use if you're going to use this leftover substitute variant of a Heatran, because you don't have access to things like Earth Power. So you are not really able to attack the Heatran. Heat Wave is immune because of Flash Fire, and you can't really use Terra Blast against an already Grass and Fire type, and now even against the Grass type, Terra type of the Heatran on PhamatonEvil side. So that's just how the matchup goes. Now we're going to be seeing this Chien Pao going to be switching in because of the fainted Rillaboom. It's going to be a 4-3 Pokemon advantage for PhamatonEvil. I believe Trick Room is still up for at least one more turn. Olsson's Heatran is in a rough spot.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's sitting behind the substitute, but it's not able to provide really any support right now. And with Trick Room still up, this Chien Pao just has to hope a double up doesn't go into it, right? You know, presumably it's fine if PhamatonEvil hits Heat Wave here. I know it's going to activate Flash Fire, but again, what is the opposing Heatran doing? But you really want to get out this Chien Pao. While they don't know, an interesting Tailwind, probably expecting with the Trick Room to end, right?
Yeah, you might as well set it up early. We're going to see the Heat Wave on Olsson's side. It is going to be immune for the opposing Heatran, not going to take any damage. It's going to do just a little under half HP onto the Tornadus, and we're going to be seeing a burn. That could be extremely important on this next turn if another Heat Wave was to go into this Tornadus. We're going to see the Icicle Crash, and it barely is just going to get KO. It's a
but the flinch!
That's an incredible flinch. We'll talk about that in a second, but this is such a good turn for Olsson. This could potentially swing this game over.
This was an insane turn from Olsson. That Tailwind, while it was ambitious, to not try to get a double up on the Chien Pao, it seemed like it now. All of a sudden, you have PhamatonEvil in such a bad spot. You got to go back into Indeedee here, right? Obviously, Heatran can suffer from a Sucker Punch. But it's now all of a sudden this other Heatran, Olsson's, is in its substitute, and it can kind of click Terra Blast if it needs to here to get out the other Heatran. And once that Heatran's gone, you can just keep clicking these Heat Waves. I like the Earth Power here, though, to respond. Try to get this substitute out. Recognizing, you know, now all of a sudden my Heatran isn't more of a wall. It's in danger. I need to make this other Heatran in danger. But yeah, the Terra Blast, Gerd, right? You're so low, this should pick up the KO. A critical hit, but I don't think it matters. That Heatran was going to bed anyways.
Yep, it's still a strong move because Heatran also still has really good special attack normally, so even if you're using the normal variant, it's not the worst. The substitute is going to be breaking, but the fact that the Heatran was able to have that substitute up for Olsson's side was incredibly long. You got all of your health back, and you just got rid of that Heatran that's been super annoying for your team if you're Olson right now. So PhamatonEvil now making this a 3 versus 3 Pokemon game. You're going to see the Tornadus come back in, but something you got to notice right now is you're dealing with 2 support Pokemon against 2 really, really strong offensive cores. So this is going to be a big, important turn.
Yeah, and Chienpao still has his focus, Ashgard, right? Like, you now need to commit 2 moves to take out the Chienpao. And so you kind of have a free, I guess not wanting to get out of there. I was going to say, you kind of have a free attack on Chienpao if you want, you know, because Bleak Wind Storm also could miss, but wants to get out of there. Urshifu dodges the Bleak Wind Storm. That is so risky, because if that connected, we could have seriously seen Urshifu die, or at least get low with the low special defense it naturally has. And a Psychic into the Heatran.
Yep, the Psychic might just be covering for the potential switch-in on the Urshifu on the Heatran slot. Obviously, the Urshifu went in the Chienpao slot, and like you mentioned before, the Tornadus missing that Bleak Wind Storm, huge. That is an incredible miss. It's only a 20% chance to miss a Bleak Wind Storm, and also just got super lucky to get that evasion. So now the Urshifu is on the field for this game. I believe Tailwind is still up. If not, this Tornadus is still going to be faster. Fall and Me going to be coming through. What is this Urshifu going to be doing? Because you don't want to hit into that Rocky Helmet. Aqua Jet doesn't work against Indeedee because of the Psychic terrain.
That's so interesting, because you have Detect. But it doesn't matter, because Urshifu just dodges again. I was so baffled by not clicking, you know, Protect there, because you're guaranteed to not take any damage that turn. But clearly Olson and his Urshifu had other plans. They read the script. That Storm wasn't coming anywhere near that bear.
Yep, that's going to be a little bit unfortunate. Again, a double miss. At that point, I mean, Olson already tried to use Aqua Jet. It didn't really matter because of the Psychic terrain, but missing there on the Urshifu, again, still really, really unfortunate timing. And then we're going to be seeing Olson's Heatran going to be picking up the double KO with the Heat Wave. And now we're going to be seeing a 3-1 Pokemon advantage for Olson, when originally around turn 1 and 2, PhamatonEvil had the Pokemon advantage at 4-3.
Yeah, it's so crazy how it felt like Olson just, you know, played it slow when Trick Room was set up, realized his Mon can survive in Trick Room and he can kind of stall it out. And it almost felt like PhamatonEvil didn't respect the substitute Heatran enough. You know, it felt like it was just like, again, we kind of thought the same. We're like, what is it really going to do? How's it going to block my water or Grass Terra Heatran? But critically, you know, PhamatonEvil's Heatran getting down to being able to be chipped to a neutral Terror Blast was enough to kind of, now all of a sudden it's like, wait. Why did I let this Heatran stay in sub? It's going to wreak havoc on my team. And, you know, kind of just Olson took the gas and moved forward with that.
Yep, we are seeing the Urshifu going to be knocked out by this Flare Main, but unfortunately, we did see the burn come through with the Heat Wave from the Heatran, so that's going to be, that Flare Main's going to be on a timer for the rest of this turn. Chienpao going to be coming in, like you said earlier. The Sash is still activated, so this Chienpao could get a hit off really whenever, and that is going to be a forfeit from PhamatonEvil. Is going to be taking that first game of this best.
Yeah, I mean, really well played by Olson there. Kind of like you said, it felt like PhamatonEvil really kind of picked up at the front, and then it just almost felt like, again, he didn't commit enough to the priorities. He let the Heatran stick around, and it was all it took to kind of turn around the tables there. I'd like to see maybe a different option. I felt like going for the Tailwind right before the end of Trick Room. It almost felt like you could have maybe done a little bit more with Indeedee there. I felt like that didn't really help out PhamatonEvil Locker. I don't know. I felt like maybe that was a little bit of, you know, the sequencing at the end that could have been fine, because it felt like for a while, you know, PhamatonEvil felt fine. Those 4 Pokemon felt okay. Obviously, the 2 Bleak Wind Storm misses as well is gonna hurt, right? Like, that's a difference of getting Urshifu out of the way, and now all of a sudden it's Flutter Mane versus the world.
Yeah, coming at the back is just, if you're not able to bring it in at the right time, it's kind of just dead weight. I did want to bring up quickly that the Psychic Terrain being up because of the Aqua Jet miss, a little unfortunate. I don't know if that was a misclick, because you can actually use priority moves against Pokemon that are either flying type or levitating above the Psychic Terrain. So if you had used Aqua Jet into the Tornadus spot instead of the Indeedee, you would have actually picked up the KO. But because I believe the Indeedee did go for Follow Me, then it's just going to get redirected, because Aqua Jet's +1 priority, Follow Me is +2 priority, Follow Me always goes first. So that's just kind of how it goes. And then I did want to briefly mention that Icicle Crash is a really interesting tech. I know it's been kind of creeping into this meta, even though it does have the chance to miss. Having that flinch chance, and most notably, it is a non-contact move. I don't know if anyone watching knew this, but Icicle Crash is a non-contact move, which means it does not activate Rocky Helmet.
Yeah, I've actually been seeing that pickup as well, and it's so interesting because it's almost like you take the less accuracy to now be able to deal with Rocky Helmet, which I guess kind of goes to show where the meta is shifting, because you felt like for a long time Ice Spinner is going to be better, right? More accurate, and it deals with terrains. And you would think that would be the case terrain in the meta, but Rocky Helmet is so strong, especially in these physical attackers. You know, it's almost worth going for the Icicle Crash just to try to chip away and not have to worry about breaking a sash if you're Chien Pao specifically, right? Going in though, no Chien Pao, at least into this game 2 lead. We now have Rillaboom and Fluttermane, switching it up a little bit versus Heatran and Indeedee. So same leads by PhamatonEvils, but different kind of leads from Olsson right here.
I like this lead a little bit better because now you have the Fluttermane that could be pressuring the Indeedee really early on. We see Olsson has the booster energy item, so it could potentially be picking up more damage onto this Indeedee early on against the PhamatonEvil Indeedee. And then you also still have the Rillaboom. Obviously, Psychic Terrain is up, so you can't be going for any fake outs, but you have a lot of offensive pressure that this Indeedee has to deal with.
Oh, but this Heatran might put out a lot of offensive pressure. PhamatonEvil here now saying, let me give you a little helping hand. I don't care if my Indeedee goes down. Take him later. Oh, but Indeedee picks up, so that's even better in this case. And we see a Flash Cannon going straight to the Fluttermane. It is enough to pick up the one-hit KO. Those hands were helping out Heatran a lot there, and now Indeedee is sitting here again with Follow Me support. It could helping hand again. This seems like a great turn one for PhamatonEvil.
Yeah, the reason why Rillaboom went for the stopping tantrum is because if Indeedee doesn't go for something like a Follow Me, it is always going to be hitting into the Heatran. Obviously, the Heatran on PhamatonEvil side could always go for something like a Terra Grass to make it resistant, but not using something like a Wood Hammer, which would have definitely picked up the Indeedee, forcing a switch out and making it a 3v3 Pokemon game, that's going to be huge because now the Indeedee, again, could go for another Follow Me to survive another hit. Likely from this Chien Pao, it is going to be moving first in this turn order.
Yeah, we'll go see now. We do have a Terra on the field. Let's see if it is going to be the Terra Grass Heatran. It is. Recognizing now, you're like, listen, I know Ice Spinner is an option, but I do have Follow Me support. I really don't want to get stopping tantrums because, you know, there's a sequence where Chien Pao knocks out Indeedee. Here we go with the Follow Me, and now all of a sudden stopping tantrum comes in. But did Olsson with U-turn read into this, though, right? Because we're going to get the Indeedee knockout. Icicle Crash connects. If you U-turn now, you can pivot out, and now you will have complete terrain control with Indeedee gone. And you're chipping away at this Heatran, and he does, doing over 50% to this Heatran right now.
Yep, we're going to see the U-turn. Now we have that pivot potential, and now we know what's in the back for Olsson. We're going to be bringing in this Heatran. Did PhamatonEvil's Heatran go for Heat Wave? It's 2 super effective moves. It is going to be the Heat Wave. That Heatran on Olsson's side is going to be eating that up for breakfast. Unfortunately, Chien Pao is going to be taking a lot of that damage, but it's still going to be hanging on because of the sash. And there's a burn! That means the Chien Pao is actually going to be going down this turn.
Oh, that's so terrible for Olsson. He would have been in a phenomenal position there, threatening with Icicle Crash and other moves, but the Heatran burning the Chien Pao, now forcing Olsson back to his last 2 mons, and I don't think he wanted to bring Rillaboom out this early.
Probably not, but something that we do have to mention, like you said earlier, was that now Olsson has the terrain control. Psychic Terrain is gone. Your Icy Surge is going to be up for the remainder of the 5 turns. If there's more turns, it's going to be gone. But at this point, it might be a 5-turn game. We just don't know. We do have the fake out pressure onto both Pokemon, actually, because none of them are holding onto a Covert Cloak, and there's no terrestrialization on the Ghost Terra type. Heatran is going to be switching out into the last Pokemon, and that is going to be the Fluttermane switching in, so trying to read some sort of fake out move into that slot.
Wow, okay, and we're seeing a Ghost Terra. A Fire Terra. We're seeing the Fire Terra on the Rillaboom. Obviously, now, just in case if Heatran does go for another Heat Wave or whatnot, but I really like the ability to be able to click fake out, but then also not, right? Like, it's the mind games, because Olson knows that with open team sheets, it's meant to lurk. But then he doesn't elect to click fake out here, like I was just saying. So now what move did Olson go into? Who did he click? Who is he hitting? U-turn into the flutter main, not going to do a lot. That was a great switch on PhantomEvil's side.
Yeah, the flutter main can basically shrug that off because bug types are not very super effective into ghost types, and basically almost heals up back to full on the flutter main. Flutter main not really being notably a bulky Pokemon. Sometimes it can have a decent amount of bulk, but even still, it's not really known for letting those kinds of attacks. But in that situation, it is. We're going to be seeing this next turn, Tailwind coming out. We're going to have the speed control for PhantomEvil's side of the board for the remainder of the 4 turns. Shadow Ball is going to be going into this Rillaboom. It is not going to be doing just enough. It is actually Life Orb Flutter Main. That's something we haven't really mentioned yet, so it's going to be doing a lot of damage. Woodhammer is going to be picking up that KO after the Lorb damage, and that is going to be another KO. What is his Heatran going for? That's going to be huge if you get a kill. No, actually, it's going to be Substitute, so this is going to be a huge position.
This is nuts now because with the Tornado setting up, Tailwind, yeah, you have speed control, but you're bringing this down now to a 2v2. You just lost probably your biggest, DPS physical, not physical, but special attacker. Who's going to do the damage? That's great from the Rillaboom. AV, but to soak up that Life Orb hit. Now you can threaten U-turn on Heatran. Obviously, Heatran can counter with varying moves. Tailwind is up, but we have the substitute on Olson's Heatran now, right? It's going to be a question of can they chip away, break the substitute, because you got to get it past it. Even if you knock out the Rillaboom with Heat Wave here, having that free substitute is going to give you such... Oh, but the Bleak Wind Storm not missing this game. So getting a crit on... I think that was the... Yeah, getting a crit on the Heatran didn't break the substitute, though.
Yeah, break the substitute would be really important. Something we also have to consider is we want to see the speed order. So it's actually going to be PhantomEvil's Heatran is going to be moving first. That is going to be doing super, super effective damage. The substitute is going to be breaking. And now we're going to be seeing Olson's Heatran, the last standing Pokemon on Olson's side. Going to go for this Terra Blast. Does this pick up the KO at half HP? No, it doesn't. Even on a critical hit, that barely did 20% damage. You still need another one of those Terra Blasts to go into that Heatran to be able to pick up this KO. While you still have to consider the fact that PhantomEvil's Heatran has that Earth Power, and it's been moving first consistently in these matches, so that Earth Power is going to chunk that Heatran.
Yeah, this is making me think that Terra Blast from game 1, that was probably just barely the roll to kill, because with that being a crit, that did not do a lot of damage, and you're in this predicament where you can't even really stall out Tailwind, because when it runs out, Tornadoes can just set another Tailwind, right? You really aren't going to win the speed control here, and the longer you take, the more that PhantomEvil's Heatran gains just a little bit more HP from this Grassy Surge. This seems like we're going to be getting into a game 3 here. But again, we don't know how Olson's Heatran is, invested, right? Maybe it can live in Earth Power and Bleak Wind Storm. It seems like we're getting closer to that conclusion to find out, though, Gerd.
I believe there is a double protect, if not mistaken. So right now, Olson kind of just needs to actually have some offensive output. You just need to use some sort of move. You can't go for Heat Wave because eventually you're not going to be able to defeat this Heatran. You have to go for Terra Blast and a normal Terra Blast into this Heatran on PhantomEvil's side to even be able to pick up a KO. But you still have to think about this Tornadus that's on the other side too. So we're going to see a Tailwind come out from Tornadus, going to be giving PhantomEvil's Heatran the offensive power it needs to pick up this Tailwind, and it's going to be using that Earth Power, and we're going to be going to a game 3.
Yeah, that's so Earth Power just picking up the one-hit knockout on a Fire Steel Heatran there. It was really good adjustment by PhantomEvil, but he picked the same 4. So obviously they saw something, right, that they were like, all right, this 4 Pokemon I think is the right one. I think it can work out. And it really felt like they had an idea on how to beat, Olson's team. We did see Olson switch up, though. We did see the Urshifu get swapped for the Flutter Mane. Maybe Olson is thinking now I should go back to that Urshifu. It felt like it might have been a little bit stronger, but maybe he didn't want to mess around with the Rocky Helmet games.
I mean, I think the entire time it worked out. The Flutter Mane did the damage it really needed to against that Indeedee to bring it low, especially with the help of the Rillaboom, I did want to really bring up the fact that the Chien-Pao was in such a good position despite taking that early Heat Wave, but getting burned there basically just means that your Chien-Pao goes down and you only have 2 Pokemon left after you just lost your Booster Energy Flutter Mane. If you don't get burned there, you're living on 1. There are no other priority attacks on PhamatonEvil's side to be able to pick up the Chien-Pao before it attacks you. So, and then you can also use something like an Iso Crash. You can still use something like a Sucker Punch. You can still use something like a Sacred Sword to attack anything you want, especially when you already have Terra Grass Heatran committed on PhamatonEvil's side. You could just go for an Iso Crash into the Heatran, and what are you going to do about it? There's nothing you can do. You have to protect. Oh, wait, no, it's a Assault Vest Heatran. You have to take a hit. You have to switch out into something else that's going to take a nice hit and a nice chunk of damage from Chien-Pao. It's that whole game really decided on that burn. 10% chance.
Yeah, you're honestly right. It's the game we play, though, right? These are things that happen. 10% chance. It doesn't happen all the time, but critical when it does. And it seems like it was the defining moment, but also it seemed great for PhamatonEvil. Got to give him credit to that. They didn't let it slip because it felt like Olsson was kind of positioning himself a little bit, but Tornadus finally hitting their Bleak Wind Storms, kind of picking up those KOs where they needed it. I don't know if we want to see. I feel like we haven't seen any of the Dragonite. I know game 1. We didn't really see much. Game 2, was it the Dragonite brought game 2? I don't believe we saw the Dragonite at all. It'll be interesting because, you have that Choice Band Aerial Ace, you have Choice Band Outrage, and we're seeing the Terra on the Heatran both games. Potential to just kind of chunk, and you're only dealing with the Flutter Mane that can, stop this Outrage. We are seeing the Flutter Mane in the Rillaboom, so we're seeing similar leads from game 2. We are going to see, again, Psychic Terrain going to set up for the grassy terrain. Do you feel like this just kind of plays out like Game 2 did here?
It could, but on top of that, you also still have to consider that the Indeedee could go for Helping Hand again. You also have to consider that Indeedee could be going for Trick Room to set up Trick Room, and you could leave your Heatran to potentially take a hit. There are a lot of different variations that we could be seeing. Follow Me is probably the safest. You let your Heatran on PhamatonEvil's side not take any damage. You lose your Indeedee, but you could potentially get a free switch. That's what I'm going to be seeing here. Indeedee going for that Follow Me, going to be moving before anything else. Moonblast, again, for the booster energy, is going to do a decent chunk. It's doing just a little over half. And the U-turn, not to stop a Tantrum this time, is going to be doing super effective damage. It's going to be picking that KO against that Indeedee. And now Rillaboom can pivot out into another Mon.
Yeah, that's really good. Recognizing he wanted to pick up that KO the last game, turn 1 on the DD. Actually picking up, we do see the Dragonites brought. We get a little foreshadowing there, and he's going straight out into it. Saying, now I have full terrain control. Your DD is gone after the first turn. My Dragonite wants to take this Heat Wave way more than Chien-Pao does. And now it seems like Olsson's just in a great spot, right? He could sub out, he could switch out the Rillaboom next turn, reset Grassy Terrain if he wants. Now let his Dragonite start clicking extreme speeds. You could now switch into the Chien-Pao and start now reducing the defense. We're seeing the Flutter Mane. So kind of this was the Outrage counter that I kind of foreshadowed, Gerd, right? Now you're kind of stopping Olsson's Dragonite from clicking Outrage, but you have Aerial Ace, you have Extreme Speed, you have other really strong hitting moves. I guess you got to hope that, Oh, and Giga Impact. I just noticed that. Wow.
Yeah, Giga Impact coming off of a normal type Terra is going to be doing super amounts of damage despite it not having any ability to do any super effective damage against any other Pokemon. But off that Choice Band, it does a chunk of damage. We have to see what this Dragonite's going to be doing. It doesn't have Stopping Tantrum to be able to threaten this Heatran. Using Outrage isn't really good against the Fairy type and the Flutter Mane on top of the Steel type Heatran not already terrestrializing yet. But we're actually not even seeing an attack coming out from this Dragonite. It's going to be pivoting back out into this Rillaboom. It is going to be setting up this Grassy Surge for the remainder of the next 5 turns because the Indeedee already has been knocked out. Terrestrialization is going to be on deck for one of these trainers. I didn't get to see who it was, but it is going to be the Flutter Mane on Olsson's side, terrestrializing into this Terra Fairy. This means that a lot of the Fairy type attacks we see the Moonblast or the Dazzling Beam are going to be doing even more damage.
Yeah, but a critical protect right there from PhamatonEvil's does Olson click into the Flutter Mane? And they do. Now we got to see, because this Heatran does have Flash Cannon. I don't know if it's going to pick up the KO, though. It seemed like you needed Helping Hand the last game, but with a little bit of chip already on Flutter Mane and Wilgard, now we wasted a Terra, got no damage off of it. That was a great turn in response by Phantom.
Even with Flash Cannon being a special attack and having, Flutter Mane having naturally high special defense, it being just like 60-70% HP, it's going to pick it up no matter what because of that stab steel type attack from the Heatran. And losing out on the Terra is huge because now you don't have the ability to have a defensive Terra or even an offensive Terra for either of these Pokemon. So now we're going to be seeing the Heatran. It's going to be switching out into something real soon. It is going to be the Tornadus coming into the field for the first time, looking like you're trying to get this Tailwind set up. Going to do a decent chunk with the fake out. Icicle Crash is actually going to be hitting into this Flutter Mane, and it's not going to be picking up the one-hit KO. The Dazzling Gleam is going to be doing so much damage. Not too much damage to the Rillaboom, but super effective damage in Chien-Pao living on that Focus Sash.
Wow. Life Orb, and the Flutter Mane lives after the Life Orb damage too. That's awesome for PhamatonEvil right now. Because now you can click a Tailwind. You're playing the Protect game as far as Chien-Pao goes. Because you could Sucker Punch the Flutter Mane, but if Flutter Mane protects and we get Tailwind, it's disastrous. Rillaboom really isn't hitting anything here well.
Yep,
and
this is a super big turn for both players because you have to read, is Flutter Mane going to be going for a Protect, and is Tornadus going to go for a Tailwind, or do we have to read a Sucker Punch from the Chien-Pao? And what is the Rillaboom going to be doing in all of this, too, is maybe you have to be threatened by the Bleakwind Storm. We're going to be seeing a Terrestrialization coming from PhamatonEvil, and it is going to be this Tornadus. That is actually a Terra Ghost Tornadus, so it is going to be having this Icicle Crash neutrality now instead of a super effective hit. And now we're going to see a Chien-Pao actually going to be going for this Protect, so any Dazzling or Moonblast into that spot isn't going to be doing any damage at all. Tailwind going to be activated. Now this Flutter Mane is going to be moving before both Pokemon on Olsson's side. Dazzling Gleam trying to cover for the Protect, still going to be hitting into this Rillaboom, but now this Rillaboom has all the time in the world. Which move is it going to be selecting and which target is going to be hitting into?
Oh, I was going to say that would be critical if the Rillaboom was targeting into the Flutter Mane right there. Would have given Olsson an option to threaten Sucker Punch into the Tornadus. But going into the Tornadus, Flutter Mane seems like it's going to survive another turn. And now, how do you answer? Yeah, you have the Dragonite. You can't Extreme Speed. You can't Giga Impact. You can't really Outrage. So I guess you're clicking Aerial Ace here. But again, with Tailwind up on Phantom's side, it seems like it's really hard right now for Olsson to get things going.
And with no Terrestrialization, you can't Terrestrialize your Dragonite into that normal typing to make sure that you can make sure that that Fairy typing super effective into that Dragonite slot is neutral with the normal typing. But now any type of attack into this Dragonite is going to be doing so much damage. And we're just going to have to see how it goes through. Sucker Punch is going to be picking up the KO onto the Flutter Mane. There's no Protect on that slot, looking like it was trying to go for an attack. Now the Tornadus all by itself is going to be going for an Icy Wind. That's actually going to be picking up. That's not going to be picking up the KO on the Chien-Pao. It actually is going to live. It is going to be dropping that speed. And even a 4 times super effective hit onto this Dragonite is still going to be living. And the Outrage is going to be hitting. This is an incredible turn. And now it's going to be KOing this Tornadus on the Terra Ghost. And now PhamatonEvil only has one more Pokemon left in the back.
That is so, Chien-Pao making up for that burn in early exit game 2. Surviving without the sash on 4 HP is crucial right now. And that Outrage going off, being able to pick up the Flutter Mane KO, guarantee Outrage was going into the Dragonite. Choice Band Outrage with Swords of Ruin is always going to pick up that KO there, especially with little health. And it's just a Heatran against the world. I mean, we still have Rillaboom in the back, and Rillaboom definitely doesn't want to fight this Heatran, so you kind of want to clean this up with the 2 Pokemon you have now. But, it's really tough to think what the Heatran could do here.
Yeah, the Heatran could still go for something like a Heat Wave, but you also still have to be considerate of the fact that the Dragonite is still a Dragon type, and you're probably not going to be hearing a KO unless you get like a crit and a burn. But it really depends on the Pokemon counts. Sucker Punch is going to be hitting into that Heatran, decent amount of damage, about 40%. And now we're going to see the Flash Cannon into this Heatran. Something to note that Chien-Pao was still faster than the Heatran despite Tailwind being up. Good to know, but obviously this game 3, so the information game doesn't even matter. Outrage is still going to be doing a chunk of damage and barely getting the KO. If that Chien-Pao was still on the field, it definitely would have gotten the KO because of that defense drop from the Sword of Ruin. Dragonite now going to be confused. The grassy terrain going to heal up just a little bit more HP onto the Heatran, but more importantly, the Rillaboom coming back into the field for the last time in this game, in this set, going to be resetting up the Grassy Surge. And guess what, Cage? It has fake out support.
And guess who can't protect, Gerd? The Heatran. This is looking like a free fake out here. Hopefully, if you break through confusion, right, you're picking up the win no matter what. If you don't, hopefully you live and you still have, you know, a whole nother turn with this Heatran very, very low. Also stalling out Tailwind here, right? So we're going to see, is the game going to end? Can the Dragonite do this, or is it just kind of in a daze? Dragonite seals the deal.
Dragonite is going to be getting through the confusion. Outrage is going to be connecting into that Heatran, and Olsson is going to be your winner of this set and is going to be moving on to top 4 of the Wide League World Rumble.
Wow, yeah, that was forth by both players. I mean, we really saw from, you know, Phantom specifically, we saw the same 4. Knew their plan, knew what they wanted to go into it. Seemed like it worked really well, but Olsson's team, you know, while the burn her in game 2, making critical survives, living with Chien-Pao there. We've just got the perfect pivoting with Rillaboom. I feel like Olsson really prioritized a lot of the terrain control, making sure DD got out of the picture, so that way the Rillaboom can keep going in and out, U-turn, bring back fake out support, bring back grassy terrain support, and awesome play to get the Flutter Mane out there too, right, Gert? So that way this outrage would work. Because if you know, Flutter Mane protects, you sucker punch into the protect, you outrage into the protect. Now all of a sudden it's in a tough term, right? Because you could pick up another, you know, you could outrage into the Flutter Mane again. But crucially, you know, Olsson clicking the right buttons, kind of dwindling down Phantom until they didn't have any options left.
Yeah, I think there was a good event at the beginning of game 3 on turn 1. Where instead of going for the stopping tantrum, trying to hit with the Rillaboom into that Heatran on PhantomEvil's side, just recognizing I need to get this Indeedee off the field. It doesn't have Protect, so I don't have to deal in any sort of mind games where I try to go Moonblast and U-turn into the Indeedee. It goes for Protect, and then Heatran could potentially pick up a KO on either the Rillaboom with the Heat Wave or a Flash Cannon into the Flutter Mane. And just recognizing that I could pick up a KO onto this DD if I really want to, picks it up, gets the KO, gets terrain control for the rest of that game, and also gets the ability to pivot out the Rillaboom into something else. And we saw that Dragonite, it did so much work, like you were saying, picking up that outrage against that Tornadus at the right time, not even having to deal with the fact that Flutter Mane was on the field because he was able to get KO'd by that Chien-Pao with that sucker punch at the right time. That was the most pivotal turn of the entire set. Just being able to call out that Flutter Mane was going to be hit using an attack. Because if you don't get that right, if the Flutter Mane probably wasn't going to be switching out anyway, but if the Flutter Mane switched out or had used to protect, Sucker Punch fails, Tornadus could have done any move that it really wanted. It would have probably still gone for the Icy Wind in that situation. And then it still wouldn't have killed either mob. We would have known that anyway. And that Outrage has that 50-50 chance of either I'm hitting into a Flutter Mane or I'm hitting into the Tornadus. And that's not really good odds, if I have to be honest.
No, and you know what's impressive is, again, to close up the set, is the core we were talking about at the beginning, this Chien-Pao, Dragonite, Flutter Mane, Rillaboom, Urshifu, Heatran. Like, these 6 Pokemon work so well together, Gerd. You can really see the synergy and chemistry between these 6 when they're played like this. It feels like there's so little checks and counters, especially when you've got, you know, an AV you could slap onto your Rillaboom. So now all of a sudden it's eating Moonblast, it's eating Shadow Balls. You know, you have Substitute on this Heatran, which we saw was, you know, pivotal in game 1. This is like a really solid core, and I feel like players should definitely anticipate to see like these 6 way more.
Especially with World coming up in just a few weeks, this is still a team that's been dominating the meta. Even for both teams, you know, Chien-Pao, D-Knight, still extremely strong core. I do like the Goldango. Unfortunately, we didn't really get to see it this time, but probably wouldn't have been good in that matchup. And another matchup, Goldango probably would have had the spotlight, especially with the Terra Water Goldango be able to stop certain Pokemon. But it's still strong, and I like both teams anyway. They were able to adapt to each other in real time and in between sets to really see which lead do I really want to go for and which lead is going to be better for the long game. So that's going to be wrapping it up for our top 8 match. We saw an incredible match between Olsson and PhamatonEvil. Olsson going to be moving on to the top 4. Wanted to give a quick shout out to the organizing crew here at the Wide League. WDMichael, you've been doing an incredible job again, and everyone else that's been supporting them. You know, if you want to follow the Wide League Twitter, it's the Wide League on twitter.com. If you want to check out the Twitch, you're watching it right now. WDMichael on twitch.tv. Check it out. And drop a follow or drop a sub.
Throw a follow. I mean,
yeah. You got to do $100
tournament, right? Yeah, come on, help them out. Throw a follow down. They are giving you great tournament content on your weekend. You know, helping them out, giving us a spot, and yeah, again, shows them that you enjoy what they're running.
I know for a fact, if you look right above me, right where I'm pointing, you can see ! WL merch. Check out the merch right here. You got the, trying to make sure I'm pointing the right direction. Yep, check out that merch with the gold dango. It's super sick on the black t-shirt with the gold dango. It's really cool. You also got the Popos, $1,300. You got the sponsors, Pappy Canton and Painkiller, and the partners at Dark Aura. They've been doing an incredible job. So it looks like that's going to be it for us, Cage. I'm glad that we were able to commentate at this event. The next casters are going to be Slim and your 2-time regional champion, Justin Tang, on the mic for semifinals and finals. That's going to be doing it for us. My name is Gerd. That is Cage. We have been your caster for today, and we're glad that you were able to join us, and have a good rest of your evening, everyone.
Have a great weekend, guys. Let's enjoy some Pokemon. Thanks, Gerd.